Imagine standing inside a massive warship while the floor moves like it's alive. Your food slides, your bed shakes, and your body never fully relaxes. This is everyday life for sailors on a US Navy destroyer in rough seas. And to understand how they survive this, we need to break it down into 7 levels of life on a destroyer in rough seas. An Arleigh Burke-class destroyer is one of the most advanced warships in the world, designed for combat. These ships are about 505 feet long and displace nearly 9,000 to 9,700 tons when fully loaded. Each vessel carries a crew of around 280 to 320 sailors. Built at a cost of roughly $1.8 to $2.2 billion per ship, they are equipped with the Aegis combat system, capable of tracking over 100 targets at once and launching guided missiles within seconds. However, despite all this advanced technology, the ship cannot escape the force of the ocean. Even in moderate seas, the destroyer constantly pitches and rolls. In rough conditions, waves can exceed 20 to 30 feet, causing the ship to tilt at steep angles. Unlike passenger ships, there are no comfort stabilizers. Even walking straight becomes difficult when the sea gets angry. So how do sailors actually handle life in such extreme situations? When rough seas begin, the first thing sailors feel is the ship losing its stability. An Arleigh Burke-class destroyer can roll between 10 and 30 degrees in heavy weather. These are powerful enough to slam against the hull with massive force. The ship doesn't just roll side to side, it also pitches forward and backward, creating a constant, unpredictable motion. At this point, the Navy activates heavy weather condition protocols. Sailors secure loose equipment, reduce speed, and adjust the ship's heading to minimize impact. Even simple objects like tools or trays can become dangerous projectiles if not properly stowed. For the crew, this is where disorientation begins. Even experienced sailors can struggle to maintain balance. The human body isn't designed for this constant motion, and the inner ear quickly becomes overwhelmed. Yet surprisingly, this is only the beginning of the challenge. The first daily routine to break down when the ship continues to roll is eating. On a US Navy destroyer, meals are served in the mess decks. But in rough seas, you can't even sit because trays slide across tables, drinks spill, and hot food can become a safety hazard. Studies from maritime health research show that motion sickness affects up to 60 to 80% of people in rough sea conditions, especially during the first 48 hours. This is caused by a mismatch between what the eyes see and what the inner ear senses. Symptoms include nausea, dizziness, and loss of appetite, making full meals nearly impossible for many sailors. The US Navy also stocks medications to manage seasickness, but these can cause drowsiness, which creates another problem for operational readiness. In severe conditions, some sailors skip meals entirely, relying instead on hydration and small snacks. Despite all this, a sailor can burn over 3,000 calories a day due to physical strain and constant movement. However, if eating is difficult, sleeping in rough seas is even more brutal. Sailors on a US Navy destroyer sleep in tight compartments with bunks stacked 3 high. Many bunks are fitted with straps to prevent sailors from falling out during heavy motion. Under normal conditions, sailors typically work in cycles like 4 hours on duty and 6 hours off. However, during rough seas, this schedule becomes even more exhausting. According to US Navy research on crew endurance, sailors often get only 3 to 5 hours of fragmented sleep, far below the recommended 7 hours for optimal cognitive function. The constant noise adds another layer of difficulty. Engines, crashing waves, and the creaking of the ship's structure create a non-stop background of sound. This prevents deep, restorative sleep. Over time, fatigue builds up, slowing the reaction time while increasing the risk of mistakes. This is especially dangerous on a warship, where even a small error can have serious consequences. If you find this interesting, you should also watch our video on how aircraft carrier crews survive months at sea. It shows another level of naval life, how aircraft carrier crews sleep, eat, and survive for months. Meanwhile, despite exhaustion, critical duties on board must continue without failure. Rough seas do not pause operations. Every system on board must continue running, regardless of how violently the ship is moving. Inside the Combat Information Center, sailors monitor screens constantly, analyzing radar data and potential threats in real time. Meanwhile, engineers work deep below deck, maintaining propulsion systems that push a 9,000-ton warship through. These tasks require precision, yet sailors often perform them while physically bracing themselves against bulkheads to avoid being thrown off balance. Mistakes in such an environment are not minor. According to U.S. Navy safety data, fatigue and environmental stress significantly increase the risk of human error, which can directly impact mission success. Despite this, operations continue 24/7, with sailors rotating through demanding shifts. However, when system conditions worsen, the situation escalates rapidly. When rough seas intensify, the risk of onboard emergencies increases sharply. Water intrusion, equipment failure, or even onboard fires can occur without warning. On a destroyer, this is where damage control becomes critical. Every U.S. Navy sailor is trained in basic firefighting and emergency response, making the entire crew part of the ship's survival system. The Navy refers to this as all-hands damage control. Sailors regularly drill for worst-case scenarios, including hull breaches and internal flooding. A real-world example highlighting the importance of damage control is the USS Fitzgerald collision in 2017, where rapid crew response helped save the ship despite severe damage and loss of life. In these moments, sailors must act fast, often in darkness, noise, and rising water, relying purely on training and teamwork. Meanwhile, beyond the physical dangers, an invisible strain also looms around. Life aboard a destroyer is already demanding, but extended exposure to violent motion, constant noise, and limited personal space significantly amplifies stress. Deployments for U.S. Navy destroyers typically last between 6 and 9 months, with sailors spending weeks at sea without seeing land. This isolation can lead to decreased cognitive performance, slower reaction times, and higher stress levels. When combined with sleep deprivation, often limited to just 3 to 5 hours per day, the focus becomes harder to maintain. Moreover, there is no escape. Unlike most jobs, sailors cannot step away from their workplace. The ship is both their duty station and living space, meaning stress is constant and unavoidable. Communication with family is also limited, further increasing feelings of isolation. Despite this, all sailors maintained morale till the very end. Ultimately, with time and experience, sailors begin adapting in remarkable ways. By this stage, experienced sailors are no longer reacting to the sea. They are working with it. Years of training and repetition allow crew members to instinctively adjust their balance with every roll of the ship. Instead of fighting the motion, they anticipate it. Veteran sailors develop what many describe as sea legs, a learned ability where the body automatically compensates for constant movement. Studies show that most sailors adapt to ship motion within 48 to 72 hours, significantly reducing motion sickness. This helps them to eat regularly, maintain energy levels, and function efficiently during long watch rotations. More importantly, their performance directly impacts mission success. Systems like the Aegis combat system still require constant monitoring, and experienced operators can track dozens of targets without disruption. Tasks that seem impossible to new sailors become routine at this level. Ultimately, this is where discipline meets experience. That's the reality of life on a U.S. Navy destroyer, where even basic things like eating can become a challenge. And yet, these sailors keep the ship running, no matter what the ocean throws at them. Now tell me in the comments, which level shocked you the most and why? If you enjoyed this breakdown, like the video, subscribe and turn on notifications. Because next time, we're going even deeper into life at sea.